congratulations on your new album. How many times? It came out on the 26th of March, so it's been a couple of weeks. What was it like for you?
Well, yeah, a couple weeks to kind of come back down to earth. Lots of excitement, all that stuff. So it's been nice to kind of detach a little bit from the record and think about what's coming ahead.
Right, because I from what I read, you spent like 2 years working on this record.
Yeah, I'd say it took like an entire year's worth of writing, and then it takes another year to come out. So it's just a long, sloggy process. With full albums. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So taking a year to write, what kind of writing process do you go through? Are you slow and methodical, or you kind of wait for the inspiration and crank it out?
Let's see. I guess, I'll probably write like 20 songs a year, and about 12 of them are good.
Right.
So, but there was a lot of life in that year, a lot of touring. And so I feel like I'm pretty productive when I do finally sit down to write. I can get it going.
Right. So the sessions that comprise this record, when were they done? Were they done during lockdown, pre-COVID? Because that seems to be the way everything is judged these days.
Yeah, it's a pre-COVID record for sure.
Right.
Yeah, we finished in January of 2020.
Yeah. And you recorded it in New Orleans?
Yeah, I've been there for 10 years, and my band all lives there. So this is a pretty new transition. I don't blame you if I caught you off guard.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So tell me about the sessions. So you have a band. You have a lap steel player, Matt. There's Max on guitar, Dan on bass, Cameron on drums, and Lyle on fiddle. A lot of fiddle on this record. I love it.
Mm-hmm. There's less fiddle on this record than the last one, if you can believe it. But yeah, same guys that I've been working with for the past 3 records. Super solid crew of musicians. They all have really interesting projects of their own music.
Right.
Cam and Dan are both in this great band called the Deslons that have toured a bunch. Matt Bell's band, he does like kind of this like novelty throwback, super awesome, unexplainable band called Ruchi Tucci Ragtime. You need to check out Ruchi Tucci. They're going to be huge. And yeah, so I kind of just, we all get together and support each other. Right.
And so from what I've read, this is kind of a breakup album. And obviously from some of the lyrics, you've been through some stuff. We don't want to drag you through the mud here, but one thing I noticed about your lyric writing is there's a great sense of detail and going off into places maybe that a lot of people would just pass over. Is that something you're conscious about?
Well, how do we kind of get present in the moment? Like how do you activate your creative brain? I feel like you kind of have to drop into the present moment all the time. Well, in this conversation, like during lunch, like you kind of always have to be doing it, right? So it's like, that's just the way that I feel inspired to write, is by like getting right into the moment. So I think those details show up because of that.
Okay. And do you do anything to get into that moment? Do you have like a process?
Like smoke a ton of weed and
yeah, well.
I like coffee.
Coffee
makes me want to write songs.
Cool.
That's pretty much
maybe I should start drinking coffee. I've never drunk it.
You've never had coffee? Or what, are you a tea man or what?
Yes, I have my cup of tea. Well, I was actually, believe it or not, I was born in England, and my mother was English, so I kind of was raised, even though in Western Pennsylvania, her one grasp of hanging on to the old country was tea. So that was me. I got to.
She made sure that you liked it too.
Yeah, that's what we had in common there.
Black tea, sugar, cream, what is it?
I started out with cream, but now I just drink it black.
Wow.
And especially in New Zealand, tea is is a big thing. Well, so is coffee. So, yeah. Anyway, we digress. So, coffee. We'll keep that in mind, though, about the drinking of the coffee. But
well, wait, before we digress.
Okay.
This is a notebook that we made for the record, and one of each of the 10 songs has an illustration.
Yep.
And look, we even put like a little coffee cup.
Coffee cup. Yeah, there you go. A little
It's a
icon.
part.
Very cool. Did you make those?
No, I have an illustrator friend named Jackson Tupper who worked on it.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Now we're getting inside the record.
That's right.
So what were the sessions like? Because you worked with a co-producer, Ross Farby. Is that his name?
Farb, yeah. Sessions were live with a reel-to-reel. So we would all set up and face in a circle so we can see each other. And, we had very minimal soundproofing. We're just in this gorgeous event space called Tigerman Den, which is like a restored house.
Right.
And I like to record in houses. I've never done like a proper studio record, dark bunker isolation booth. Someday feel like I'm very slowly approaching a digital record someday, but I like the freedom of playing live with the band, and I like the haste. It's good for a budget, and we're used to playing together. Right. We're like a bar, not a bar band, but we play out once a week or twice a week. Sure, we are a bar band.
Yep. So have you been able to play out during the last year? No? It's got to drive you crazy, right?
Well, I love writing so much, so I just wrote another record, and it's kind of it's
I love it.
It's okay. It's how things are right now.
Right.
I think maybe for the first few months we were all a little bit in denial about reality, but it's just so much better to be careful for me. Right. And
Now I see you did shoot a video in the French Quarter for how many times? What was that experience like?
Dinner and a movie, scrape the bowl. I'm never hungry and I'm never full. They make pills to ease the pain, but that ain't the easy way. How many times will you break my heart? How many times will you break my heart?
Other than you got splashed in the face.
Yeah.
I can see what that was like.
I think it's always like things are tense now getting together. But I think that was actually during election weekend in the US. So I think everybody was really glad to have something else to think about for a minute and work together and collaborate. So it was actually like really joyful and fun to get to do that project.
Yeah. Was it odd to be out in the street because it looked kind of empty?
I mean, we were thankful that it was empty so that we would have less interference and could be safely masked and do our thing. And I like on a normal day in the French Quarter, there's like at least 6 film production crews and like fake rain and a couple brass bands, so it was really interesting to kind of have just like free reign of the place.
Yeah. I've only been to New Orleans once, and I found as I was walking out, I could see they were shooting TV shows, movies all over the place. It was wild.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it.
Yeah, totally. Especially that there's a location in the music video where the confetti comes down on Orleans and Royal, right in front of Touchdown Jesus.
Yeah.
Which is what you call like the other side of the Cabildo church. Anyway, that's just like a really, 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 really gorgeous $1 million trillion location. And we got to kind of just play around there.
Yeah. And speaking of locations, my understanding is you wrote the song Good Time on the side of a road. Tell me about that.
It's a good time, having a real good time. It's a real good time for bad timing.
That's where the idea came to me. I feel like a lot of my best ideas are caught and presented to me through friends or, my ex or whoever, partner, people in your life, people in my life, in dialogue will catch little phrases and say, that's your song, like go write that song. So it's a good time for bad timing is what I said on the phone when my car was broken down. So I don't know, it goes back to that thing about being in the moment and being present with wanting, like reaching for a creative moment even in the middle of all kinds of stress or chaos or whatever.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. You're musically, you sound very kind of traditional country to me, but lyrically, there seems to be more going on than what is expected of a country song.
Thank you.
So I don't know if that's something that you think about or you're
Mhm.
trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's something that's been confusing for me as my record kind of goes farther out of New Orleans, farther out of, the scene in which it was made, is that people are like, wow, this is really country sounding. And I was sort of startled at first because to me, it was just the music that we made together
Sure.
based on our influences. And then, now I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, this stuff is super country. Like, whoa, like, wow.
When you have a
We're
fiddle and a
country-
lap steel, you can't help it.
But it was sort of like, I don't know. It was just my life and my friends.
Right.
And
Did you grow up listening to country music?
not so much, no.
Because you grew up in
Well,
Michigan, right?
Yeah, there was always the presence of it, like
Right.
on the school bus, like, the bus driver would always have the pop country station. So it
Yeah.
kind of seeped in that way. There were a few tapes that my sisters and I loved, like Mary Chapin Carpenter and
I love
the
her.
Chicks.
Yeah.
But as I developed my own taste, I was like, no country, definitely not. Punk rock, anything but country. Because
Right.
I didn't want to live in a small town in Michigan. I wanted to get out. I'm sure you know what that whole story is.
Yeah, I do. Yes. Pennsylvania was the same way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And then, at some point you kind of come around and embrace that music really did shape my taste. It really did shape my taste.
Right. So,
I'm
so what punk stuff were you listening to?
I was a huge Against Me fan.
Oh, right. Okay.
Folk punk,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, pop punk. I loved AFI. I loved the Distillers, Brody Armstrong. I was just
Yeah.
kind of that whole kind of scene.
So what would you say made you kind of led you in the direction you've gone in then?
Probably, I feel like it's kind of, this is what the thing about New Orleans is like, so many people are drawn to the city because they're obsessed with traditional jazz, blues, and you kind of go on this whole voyage of discovery of the earliest recorded music, which was recorded there.
Yeah.
And so like, I was really into traditional jazz and blues. And by being caught in that timeline, I got into like early country, 'cause
Oh,
that's
yes.
Jimmy Rogers and like the progression, like Hank Williams, like 30s, 40s. And so now I'm kind of at like my 1960s rock and roll phase where I'm going to have, that's where like my taste is. And maybe in another 30 years, I'll be like a modern songwriter.
Whatever that is in 30 years. So you've mentioned that you've kind of written songs for the next record. Is it going to be a rock and roll record?
We'll see. I'm definitely, I've heard that like album number 4 is like the chance to like really experiment and grow.
Right.
So the way that I've been thinking about, I live in a new place and I'm going to work with new people. And
That was
Yeah,
my
I
next
think-
question. Are you going to be working with a
Yeah.
new band and stuff because you've moved?
yeah, I think there's going to be still like kind of laying down a plan, but
Right.
I might just really, can I talk about all this stuff?
Yeah, it's fine with me. It's up to you.
Let's let it be a surprise then. Let's let it be a surprise.
Well, what's the music scene like where you are? Have you managed to lock into some folks to play with?
No, I know they're out there in the hills. I know
Yeah,
there's
in the hills.
incredible. Yeah, I'm like, people are tucked away, and I'm excited to see and hear.
Very cool. So what's the reaction been since the album came out? Since you aren't playing out, it must be difficult to connect with the fans, but there's social media, I guess. So
Yeah,
you did a
It
live
kind of-
stream, didn't you?
I did. I'm gonna do like a presentation of the record in the song order. I don't know. It's different. I think this is such a weird time.
Yeah, it is a weird time.
Like, I guess I'm just so excited for the album to be out there. And I have this kind of gratitude in that, like, this is the first time ever that people can't show up.
Yep.
So it's really all about the record. And that's great because I think that this record is really fun. And like, I'm like, just, yeah, like hopefully people can find it. I think word of mouth is like always the strongest tool for artists and
Yep.
friends. You know, it's a guaranteed, it works. So yeah, I guess I have pretty low expectations for pandemic record release, but that means
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
Well, hopefully the next one will be a little more outgoing, and I can't wait to hear it. Actually, just hearing you talk about it. So,
Oh, wow.
we can talk again. I'll even turn the lights on when I do it if we talk again.
That would be nice.
Yeah, well, you don't know. Anyway, I've got a video crew outside pounding on the door. I better let them in. So thank you very much
Okay.
for talking to me.
Yeah, thank you, Marty.
Yeah, I hope all goes well and where you are now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.